What's good, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of Pokemon Showdown with me, Cell. Guys, this is a little bit of a different Showdown video. I'm going to be doing a team builder today because, like I've said many times, I want to get better as a competitive battler. So I figured I'd make an OU team, start climbing the ladders, learn a little bit more about what these Pokemon do as far as their competitive use. And I did do some battling in Gen 5, like I've said previously before as well. One of my favorite Pokemon in Gen 5 was actually, Latios. So I figured that I'd build a team around Latios. The way I typically build teams, I'll try to find one Pokemon that I kind of want to build around. So I got our Latios here. His name's Eon. And I gave him the typical Draco Meteor, Size Shock, Stabs with Hidden Power Fire and Roost. He's rocking out with a Life Orb, and his EV spread is a typical one of 252 speed, 252 special attack, and 4 special defense. Now, the reason that I actually run Life Orb and Roost, I didn't want to go specs. I like the option of being able to switch my move. And Roost is there just so I can recover the Life Orb damage. I also like Roost because I like to use my Latios as kind of a pivot and switch into moves that I know that I can take, like any grass, electric, fire, water moves. Roost up, drop a Draco if I can. And if I don't see any fairies, it's usually just Draco time with Latios. Now for my next Pokemon for this team that I built, I try to, once I find the Pokemon that I want to build this team with, I want a good defensive core to support that Pokemon. So with Oris OU, we got fairies running around. We still have dark types that can trap Latios. Knockoff is even more, dangerous now because, it can knock off your item. It's more powerful. So I figured that the best Pokemon that I can use to complement Latios was actually Mega Scizor. Mega items cannot be, I guess Mega Stones can't be knocked off, which I didn't know until I started playing OU. And I rocked out with Bullet Punch, U-Turn, Defog, and Roost. I made this the specially defensive Mega Scizor because I like having the defenses sky high with that 364 regular defense and the 286 special defense after Mega Evolving. He's the slowest Pokemon on my team, so it was imperative that I gave him the Bullet Punch so that he can outspeed with priority. He can hit the fairies really hard with Bullet Punch. I know that he one-shots Sylveon without defensive investment. U-Turn is to build momentum. Defog because I need to get rid of rocks. You guys can see up here that I am using a Talonflame on this team. So rocks are big nuisance to Talonflame, knocks it down 50%, so I gave it the Defog, and Roost so that I can recover any damage and continue taking hits. Really good wall, and a great partner for my Latios here. Now for my other defensive option to pair with my Scizor, I wanted a Pokemon that could take hits that Scizor couldn't. And the biggest thing that I know with Scizor is it can't take a fire hit to save its life. So I figured, you know what, I'll throw Rotom Wash on this team. This is the exact same Rotom Wash that I would use in the battles that I had in Gen 5 OU with Hydro Pump, Volt Switch, Pain Split, and Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp is incredibly important. I want to land burns on my opponent's physical attackers. And the half-zero attack stat makes it a lot easier for me to win games. I have the leftovers there so that I can recover from my own, taking hits. It's a specially defensive build, so it's 252 on the special defense side, 252 HP, calm nature, so because I don't really use the attack stat at all. And yeah, really solid pairing with Scizor. They're both special, so it was a little bit, of a toss-up. The physical defense on both of them isn't bad, especially not on Rotom Wash. He could take some physical hits. That 250 special defense is nothing to frown on, but I love that these two pairings, they work really well together. And with Latios, I felt like I was building a pretty solid team. This is Pixie, a Celebi that I actually got this set. I built this set physically defensive, which is pretty uncommon on Celebes. I wanted it to be physical mainly because I don't really have like a physically defensive like Mon that's like supposed to be like physically defensive. I got Scizor who could take a lot of physical hits, but I wanted this to be able to switch in on particular Pokemon water types. And this is going to be my water killer for the team. The bulky water types that don't get ice, Ice Beam, I wanted this to be able to switch in on them. He is my Stealth Rocker, this Pixie. I gave it Toxic so that it could wear down teams. I found that really the biggest issue with this team was dealing with Pokemon that are water ground, like Swampert or what's the other one? blow my mind right now. But I found that water ground types do a really big number on my team, and I didn't really have an answer for them. So I threw Pixie on this team. I gave it Giga Drain so that I can have the to recover any damage. I gave it Leftovers. Natural Cure is really, really important because people try to land burns on either Scizor or they try to land Thunder Waves on my Latios. Being able to switch right into Pixie and then switch back out or stay in and get my rocks up, very, very helpful for this team. I get guaranteed rocks anytime anyone wants to go ahead and try to, put a status infliction on my team, and then switching out cures Pixie immediately. So very, very good poke for this team. The EV spread's a little bit weird with the special defense investment and the physical defense investment. I wanted it to take some special hits, like Ice Beam. I wanted it to be able to take some physical hits. I know in one occurrence I was able to live a +1 crunch from a Feraligatr. Made me very proud of my Pixie here. But Healing Wish is there so that if I ever need to go into another Pokemon and it's like incredibly injured late game, Healing Wish is really, really good for me. I like being able to use it and go into one of my 2 sweepers here. And yeah, really solid poke. It's my Stealth Rocker. I love it. And with that being said, this is our Talonflame. Now, Talonflame, I named it Fire Chicken. It's a very typical Talonflame set. And before I really go into like Talonflame, I like to describe what I want in my sweepers. I want a very fast, hard-hitting sweeper. Like, that's really what I like to see in my sweepers. Pokemon that hit very hard, that are very fast. And I wanted a Pokemon that can punch through some of the things that my team doesn't really do too well with. So with grass types, I mean, if I run into a Ferrothorn, this is an immediate switch in. This is something that I like to have in. And if I don't have it, it's the reason I run HP Fire on my Latios. But I can Swords Dance, I can Roost on the switch, then I can go for Priority, Brave Bird, and Flare Blitz, which hurts a lot of teams. Very fast Mon, very hard hitting Mon, and I'm very happy with the results that I've had with it so far. And to round out this team, another Pokemon that I use on one of my OU teams in Gen 5, pretty much an exact copy, Choice Scarf, Keldeo with Scald, Hydro Pump, Icy Wind, and Secret Sword. This decision to come up with the Keldeo was really so that I can have another Pokemon that does, I guess, like the same, like it balances out with Latios. So the Pokemon that bother Latios are like Tyranitar, other dark types, fast dark types, any other fairies. That's the reason I ran, Scizor. But to get rid of dark types and, rock types, ground types, I wanted Keldeo, and he does a really good job of balancing the team out. Some of my favorite things to do with this team is to have like if I have Latios in, a lot of people will try to switch into like a Ferrothorn. Once Ferrothorn comes in, I can switch into my Talonflame, and when they switch into their Talonflame counter, which could be like a Landorus T or something, I usually just double switch straight into Keldeo once I switch into Talonflame, because most people don't want to take the flying hit. They'll switch into their ground type or something that I know Keldeo can handle. So Keldeo is really good on this team, very fast because of that Choice Scarf. He rocks out with Scald, Hydro Pump, Icy Wind, and Secret Sword, and his spread is pretty much the same as my Talonflame here, with the 4 attack, 252 special attack, 252 speed, so that he can outspeed pretty much the entire tier other than I think Deoxys speed. And yeah, the team is very, very fast. That's one thing I really wanted on this team, was a very fast team. I got Priority in Scizor, a fast Latios, Priority in Talonflame, a Choice Scarfer. My Celebi, decent speed. I mean, it's base 100s. My Volt switching, I got my Volt Switch U-turn core right here, which builds a lot of momentum. They're not super defensive, but I don't necessarily like really bulky, slow teams. I want to be able to outspeed my opponent. I want to be able to play aggressively, and I find with teams that have decent bulk and a lot of speed, I can do that. And it fits my playstyle. I've been doing pretty decent on the ladders. And yeah, guys, this is my team. You can leave a comment if you have any suggestions for what I have currently. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, share the video if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys for the next Showdown video. Peace. Blah 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 blah.